Good evening, folks, and welcome to another Natecla Scotland monthly online forum. It's great to have you with you this evening, and I'm delighted to introduce our guest speaker for this month, which is Ciaran Whelan, who works as an ESOL lecturer for Fife Council. Ciaran is going to be talking to us about using the Citizen Literacy App in his ESOL classes, how he does that and how useful he finds that. Just so you know, we are recording this session and it will be shared on our YouTube channel afterwards. Please mute or keep your microphones muted unless you wish to ask a question. I know that Ciaran is keen that you can ask questions at any point throughout tonight's presentation. So without further ado, I'd like to hand you over to Ciaran. Thank you very much, Ciaran.
Thank you very much, Pauline. Thanks, guys, for joining me. Yes, as Pauline said, welcome to our monthly online forum. So my name is Ciaran, and I'll be doing the presentation this evening. Okay, so we're going to look at the Citizen Literacy App in practice. Okay, first of all, who am I? I'm an ESOL Group Tutor with Fife Council based in Kirkcaldy. I develop, plan, deliver English language learning materials, lessons and activities through initial assessment of learner needs and tailored learning plans. So as part of my job, I'm regularly teaching low-level and literacies learners whose first language isn't English. I also supervise ESOL volunteers. I signpost learners to where they may receive further support and work with the wider CLD, Community Learning and Development team, and partner agencies to develop and deliver short courses. And that's my work address there. Okay, so before we look specifically at the literacy app and the resources you can use with it, I'm just going to go through the who, the what, why, and the how to give an overview of citizen literacy, the program, the thinking behind it, and that'll give us a good idea of what we're looking at when we open the app. So who are Citizen Literacy? So they're a wholly independent community interests company. They're a non-profit organization based and registered in Scotland. They work with partners worldwide to support adults with their reading and writing skills. They specialize in developing digital and paper-based learning resources to support learners and their teachers. Their website is citizenliteracy.com. That's your first port of call for the app and the resources as well. And just to say that I work for Fife Council, I've no interest in citizen literacy. I don't work with or for them, but I do use their app. Okay, so what's the Citizen Literacy Program? It's an adult literacy program supporting tutors and others to develop reading and writing skills of adults who can already speak and understand some English. Now, I would add to that I've been using it as an ESOL tutor with learners who come to us with zero English, zero spoken English, zero written English, and they're illiterate in their own first language. And this is just as useful a resource for me. So the program can also be used by ESOL tutors to develop reading and writing, speaking and listening skills in their low literacy level learners. It's a program designed to be adopted, adapted, and delivered by others. So not just tutors. It could be teachers, could be educators. If you've got someone who has those literacy needs, you can use this resource. So there are digital and paper learning resources, and that's what we're going to look at this evening. There are tutor handbooks, learner workbooks. There's a tutor hub platform. There's a lot in that, and we'll look at the Citizen Literacy app. So why use citizen literacy? Well, it's designed to help overcome a serious lack of resources and support for those who seek help as adults to improve their literacy skills. It can also be used by ESOL tutors to develop reading and writing skills in their students. It may be of use for secondary school students who are struggling with their reading and writing skills. And as a tip for primary and secondary school teachers who are interested in the use of structured phonics methods for teaching literacy, the free Learner app and free tutor resource might provide a useful training and professional development resource. I'm thinking specifically of those primary or secondary teachers who might find themselves suddenly with one or two or several kids from refugee families, maybe from Syria or Afghanistan or Ukraine, who might have scripts writing systems that are maybe quite different to English or completely different to the English language. So they might be completely literate in their first language, but they're maybe starting from zero in their classes in primary and secondary schools. So how it fits the general education landscape? Well, it's designed to help fill a major gap in current provision, especially with regard to digital tools for literacy. So the idea is that it quickly takes complete beginners to a good level of functioning working literacy over 3 courses of about 30 lessons each. It simultaneously improves digital literacy and it builds confidence. It's user-friendly. It's very easy, very quick for the tutor to pick up, for the learner to pick up. You can pre-teach it. I'll demonstrate it in a couple of minutes, but it's the app, the idea, you pick it up quickly. And in terms of development goals, it chimes with UN Sustainable Development Goals to ensure inclusive and equitable quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all. So this chimes very much with what I do as an ESOL tutor. So I teach English as a second language to adults, and we try and promote inclusive, equitable classes, lifelong learning, encouraging our learners all the time, whatever age they may be over the age of 16. How does it fit into the Scottish education landscape? The citizen literacy courses, they're approximately equivalent to the Scottish Credit and Educational Qualifications Framework, SEQF. So part 1 corresponds to level 2, part 2 corresponds to level 3, part 3 corresponds to level 4. So that's a good point of reference if you're in formal Scottish education setting. Okay, so I think I might have, yes, I might even be on time, maybe a little bit ahead of schedule. So I see that we've got a couple here who have just joined us. Thanks for joining us. You don't need to, hello, you don't need to take yourself off mute or put on your video. But I would like to invite you to just have a look at the app at the same time as I'm going to look at the app. So can you take a moment and just go to, actually it might be easier if I stop the share and I go in the site. So can you please, okay, you can see that website. So can you, if you want, on your phones ideally, go to Citizen Literacy, all one word, .com. And once you're on that, if you look over to the tab saying resources, and if you can go down to the free learner app and click on that. So hopefully you'll get a screen that looks like this. Yeah. So you haven't had to download anything. Very, very straightforward. So far there are 2 units up. So if we tap on or click on unit 1, we'll see we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So these are 5 separate series of lessons. And when we click on number 1, then we'll get 13 activities within lesson 1. So before we even click on them, you can see the icons here, very self-explanatory icons. We've got the ear for listening, we've got the book for reading, we've got the pen for writing, and we've also got the head, the sound waves for speaking. So we would make note of that, point that out to our learners before we even start. Remember, they're literacies learners, so the more we can communicate with fewer words, the better we're doing. So just to give you an idea of just what the app offers, I'm just going to cherry pick a couple of different activities at different stages of the app. So this is an app that is designed to be used with literacies learners at home or in educational contexts. I use it in an ESOL classroom. I encourage the learners to just use it on the bus, use it at home as well, and reinforce it. So if we click on 1.1, okay, so we can see that we're not starting with the whole alphabet. We're starting with classic matspin, M-A-T-S-P-I and N. Why? Good combination of letters that we can start to make basic words very, very quickly. And I realized that maybe I started to share the screen, but I hadn't switched on shared sound. So like the complete professional I am, I'm going to come out of the share. I'm going to share the screen again with the sound. Okay, and hopefully that works. Okay, so we're back on the first screen. So if you've got this page open at home, can you just tap on one of the letters? Just tap on, for example, M. Okay, so the learner hears it and repeats it.
S, S, I, T, T.
Okay, so we're not hearing the name of the letter, we're hearing the phonemes. So that's where we're starting. We're starting with these 7 letters. Right? So this would be where we'd start. And then if you can just if you can scroll, if you see the arrows at the bottom, before that, just tap on the question mark.
This is the first activity of Lesson 1. Introducing the first group of new sounds and ways of spelling. Tap each of the letters. Take your time, and get to know the sounds of each letter. Remember, to get the most out of this course before you do an activity, tap the video icon to watch the video explainer about that activity.
Okay, so when you click on any of these activities, there will be the question mark to give you the audio talk through. And if you click on the video, it will just give you the video talk through of the same thing. So if you as the educator or the tutor, if you're pressed for time and you think, okay, I want to prep this, you can just click on the question mark. It will tell you what the thinking is, how this works. If you click through to 1.4, yes, there is a pair of pants right in the middle of the screen. So if you go to 1.4, again, so we can see the 7 letters. We can also see a microphone. So if we just click or tap on that microphone. Okay, so now we need to get our learner to tap on the correct sound. I think that was N. I think that was N.
Correct.
Okay.
Tap the speaker to listen to the next sound.
So then we get a voiceover telling us correct. So we're getting instant feedback. We're getting that ding. We're getting that green color. So if you like Duolingo, this might feel familiar to you. You're getting that you're getting that positive feedback as well. And then it tells you to click on to the next one. Okay, if I get that wrong, okay.
Brilliant.
Okay.
Tap the speaker again for the next sound.
So we're listening, we're matching the sound to the corresponding letter, and when we get that as the learner, the letters pop out.
Right again.
So we see.
Tap again for another sound.
So we draw our learners' attention to the fact that, for example, the letter S is at the start of the word, is maybe at the end of the word. So, and they can already associate it with something quotidian, an object from their daily lives. Yep, and I'll come back afterwards to my thoughts and feelings about these voiceovers. If we just keep this particular page in mind with these 7 words, I'll show you how we can use it with workbook activities as well. But I'll just show you a couple of other pages from this. So that's 1.4. If I go through to 112, yeah. Okay, so we can see we're going to do some reading. We've got an eraser here. We've got a rubber, and we've got glasses to check. So let's tap on that.
Use your finger to trace over the word displayed on the notepad above. The letters spell the word she.
This is where it gets cool and interactive.
Once you've finished tracing the word, tap the glasses icon and I will tell you if it looks correct.
Yeah, so if you
can always tap the eraser icon if you want to start again.
So if you
have a go at tracing over the word you see on the note paper.
So if you're ready, if you've got your smartphone up, just trace the word with your finger and see if that works for you. Now, I'm a left-hander using my mouse on my right hand, so I'm going to give this a go. I've done worse. Okay, so now we'll click on here.
Excellent, you just wrote the word she. Tap the reader icon to display another word.
So you can see, so going from activity 1.1, we're just focusing on individual sounds. Then we're going on to full words. Then relatively quickly, we're going on to letter and word production. So with our fingers, obviously you're using this as a tool in the class. So you'll be using this in parallel with workbook activities where they're using a pencil or a pen, their handwriting as well. All right, so if I just go back and so I go to the home page, and if I go to, so if we go click on the home page, the little house up there, and go to
Lesson 2, home page.
If you try 2.10, and don't worry if you can't find it, you can just watch what I'm doing. Right, so
the name I would like you to write is the name Stan. Use your finger to write the name on the notepad above.
Okay, so we can see the progression here.
Once you've finished writing the name, tap the glasses icon and I will tell you if it looks correct.
Okay, so we've gone.
You can always tap the eraser icon if you want to start again.
Yeah.
Okay, go and give it a go.
So we've gone from tracing letters to looking at a word and copying it, producing it that way. So if I very quickly just put in
sorry, that doesn't look right to me. Tap the eraser icon and give it another go.
Okay.
You're nearly there.
So you will have taught your learner to say, if you hear the word sorry, then it's maybe not correct. So tap the eraser icon, try again. This might be even worse. So obviously I'm doing this very clumsily with a mouse. Your learners will be doing this ever more eloquently with the tip of their fingers. And then once they can visualize that, then it's up to you to decide, okay, well, let's look at your phone, see if we can find it on your keyboard, see if we can find it on this computer keyboard, and you start to write it in your books as well. Yeah, if we just go back as well, I'll show you just two more.
Lesson 3, homepage.
Here is a mat.
Okay, so now our learners should be recognizing individual words, but with the syntax incorrect. So the sentences are jumbled up.
Here is a mat. Full stop. Here is a mat.
Okay.
Correct. Tap the speaker to listen to the next sentence.
So individual words and correct punctuation as well. So this is in Unit 1. And if we just jump forward to
Lesson 5, homepage.
5.5.
Now, I would like you to write the words, one by one, to complete the sentence, it is a mat.
Okay.
On the notepad, please write the first word of the sentence. The first word is, it. After you have written the word, tap the glasses icon to check if the word looks correct.
So we can see the progression now from we've learned individual words like here is a mat, and then Unit 3, okay, put them in order. And now Unit 5, you're being asked to write here is a mat. Okay, so that's the idea. I've just shown you cherry-picked lessons, activities from Unit 1. There are also ones where you can record your own pronunciation of individual letters, words, and sentences. So it's challenging you with all 4 skills as well. Okay, so I'll just stop that share. So that's the app itself. So I'll just go back into the main presentation. Okay, so I very quickly went through just some of the things that the app does. Why is it of such benefit? Well, it's not just phonics. It's not just a, e, pa, ta. It's not just forming letters. So the Citizen Literacy Program, its approach, it takes a systematic approach to teaching adults to read and write English. So you have a whole program there from start to finish. You can come in and out of different sections. You don't have to go 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 4. You don't have to follow it in that order. You're not married to it, but you can follow it as it is laid out there. So the skills that it seeks to develop in learners, okay, phonics, blending and breaking down, phonological awareness, grapheme correspondence, reading, spelling, listening, writing, speaking, alphabetical awareness, punctuation, uppercase, lowercase letters, and comprehension, composition, narrative, and grammar as well. So eventually to learners producing their own narratives, producing their own sentences, their own stories. And again, if you've got any questions, guys, or if Pauline sees anything on the chat, she will interrupt me, no problem at all. Right, so the benefits of the app, if you're wondering why I use it, well, there's multimedia interactivity and gameplay. Yeah, there are games on it as well. So together with voice and handwriting recognition that we've seen and instant personalized feedback, it enables some of the first online and independent learning opportunities for low literacies learners. We just went on to the website, we just went to the right tab, we clicked on it and it opened. So for my learners who have no English and no literacy in their first languages, I would just say, okay, can I put it on your phone? So I just text them the link and they can just click on it and open it. So it's that simple. So from a standing start, by the end of lesson 2, learners are beginning to read and write simple sentences. So we had an idea of that jumping from a random selection of activities, the progression that learners hopefully will be making. It plugs a gap in the current support for adult literacy learners and their teachers in the use of new digital technologies. Not everybody can read or write. Everybody has a phone. It never ceases to amaze me how people work their way around not being able to read text messages or not understand phone numbers, but they're able to know if their wife or their child or their partner is phoning as well. So that's a resource that we should be using. It's with them all the time. And it enables these adults to learn more autonomously and effectively by using their smartphones. Obviously, there's a self-esteem component. Learners might be frustrated, embarrassed, of course, if they're illiterate in English or maybe their first language. So to give them that autonomy, it is powerful. So as I was saying before, it's free to use, doesn't require user registration, there are no ads, there are no in-app purchases, and it takes no personal data. So importantly, it doesn't look like a children's learning resource, which could be a demotivating factor for older learners as well. It doesn't look like animation, it doesn't look like comics. Many adults with poor literacy, as I was saying, own a smartphone. This provides an extra learning opportunity. And as I was saying, there's no download required. You can just access the app on the web page, and hopefully maybe some of you have seen that already, how easy it is to go through. Okay, now I've gone through that quite quickly because I do want to circle back to resources that you can use in tandem with the app. So it's not just the app itself. You can play around with it in your own time. There is loads and loads of stuff there. Citizen Literacy also has what they call their tutor hub. Now, the first thing to say that this tutor hub, there's a fantastic array of resources on it, but this is subscription based. So you would have to pay an annual subscription to access this. And I can give you information on, well, I can show you where you can get the information for prices and where to access that later on. So there are 5 different kinds of resources that they're offering here, and I'll go through them briefly. So you've got connected learners, custom activities, a phonics dictionary, online handbooks. So I was mentioning before, ideally you use the online handbooks for the tutor with the workbooks printed off for the learners if you want to expand the activities in the learner app to full lessons to take most advantage of it. So you've got a custom word and activity builder. So this allows tutors to create their own special collections of words, decoding drills for their learners, and send to the learner apps. So if you register with the Tutor Hub, then you've got the facility to connect your app to the learner app as an extra way of communicating with them. at a separate level to, for example, text messages or phone or WhatsApp. Tutors can easily personalize the content of the program and the learner app to meet learner interests and needs. So if, for example, I've got a learner who's interested in football, and I'm connecting with him through the medium of football, then I could create a list of simple words about football that I think he might be able to recognize. Then if you look at the screen on the right, so you have the boxes, you enter in the letters, and then you select the phoneme. Okay, so if the letter is B, then the phoneme is B. But if the letter is A, well, the phoneme could be A or A. So you'd select the phoneme and then, okay, BATTERY, battery, then you would add that to the activity, you would add that to the list as well. And you can send that to learners. They click on it, then you would give them, for example, give it to them as homework, get them to study it, then they come back in the next lesson, then get them to produce those words. They're creating their own bank. It's specific to their needs. You can use it in tandem with the other resources as well. So tutors can use the phonics dictionary to look up the correct phoneme or grapheme breakdown for each word. So if you're new to literacies, or in our area new to ESOL or teaching, then as a tutor, you can use this as a resource for yourself. You're learning as you go, you're learning as you're teaching. So that's one of the facilities, a custom word and activity builder. For you, the educator, it's up to you whether you obviously have the time to use it. So we're all time poor. So there are these fantastic facilities here, but it's picking what works for us. Okay, next, phonics dictionary. So we've got two things here. You've got a phonics dictionary, you've got a pronunciation coach, 300,000 words multimedia. That's a fair whack of the English language words in daily usage. Now we can see that we've got this guy here living his best life, and we've got a picture underneath. We've got the letters, we've got the sounds as well. So you can see we've got the IPA, the International Phonetic Alphabet. So this is a great resource for demonstrating physically to learners how they say the words. Then underneath you have the word, you press it, and then if you've been teaching them, if you want to teach them the International Phonetic Alphabet, phonetic, then you have that as well. So an interactive multimedia resource, it builds phonic awareness in learners, helps to decode written words into their component sounds. So it's quite slow. So when you click on it the first time, it says it at normal speed. You click on it again, it does it at half speed, slower speed. So that's a very useful tool for tutors and learners. Again, searchable phonics dictionary contains over 300,000 words. Useful tutor development tool to learn about phonics. So if, for example, you're thinking of doing your CELTA, or if you want to get into ESOL or TEFL, then you would be using the International Phonetic Alphabet there as well, or the IPA. Very useful tool. So each word is displayed as an interactive resource on screen and shows the relationship between the phonemes that make up the sounds of the word and the graphemes that represent their spelling in the word. Now, if you're like me and you're thinking, I don't remember the difference between phonemes and graphemes, or I have no idea, there is another great resource on the website for beginners or folks who just need a refresher as well, that are free resources, and we'll look at those too. So that's the phonics dictionary. Then you've got connected learners. So a tutor to learner messaging and activities via the app. This is a pretty cool function as well. So this unique feature, the Tutor Hub service, enables tutors to easily connect to their learners via the web app on their smartphones. So the system is simple to use. A tutor puts their tutor PIN number into their learner's app and the name of the learner. After that, the tutor can send text and voice messages to their learners, as well as custom activities just for those learners. We might ask, okay, well, why don't I just send a text message or a voicemail message? And again, if we have literacy learners who don't have the ability to recognize your name as your tutor or your educator, if they're getting a message through the app, then they know, okay, this is a message from my tutor. This relates to my learning. I'm not going to ignore it, or I'm not going to be scared of it, or it's not a message from the government, for example, or an institution I'm worried about. So tutors can manage their connected learners and put them into different cohorts if you want to do that, if you've got the time, and send them custom activities. This can make a huge difference in learner engagement and retention. You've already created a little bit of unity. You've created a group in the class. This will help bolster it. And then you've got overarching tutor training. So just to go back a moment, so we've got in the Tutor Hub platform, you've got custom word builder, you've got the phonics dictionary, you've got connected learners via the app, and now you've got tutor training resources as well. It is a lot, and these ones specifically are behind a subscription wall. So it's up to you whether you think it's worth it. But before anything, you've got the free learner app, and you do have some resources to go along with that. So I would say start there. So the idea, the tutor training, to provide as much support to tutors as possible, especially those volunteers and mentors who wish to become adult literacy tutors themselves. So if I'm an ESOL tutor, but I've got folks who want to be mentors or volunteers, and they're willing and able, maybe they were educators before, maybe they're not, but they haven't taught literacy level learners before. Where do they start? Where do I start directing them or training them? The resources are here. So many of the instructional resources are also dual purpose and can fulfill a tutor training function. So the tutor handbook, I'll show you where these are on the website, and free learner app combined with the tutor hub provide a useful training and CPD resource for tutors who are new to adult literacy teaching and or the use of structured phonics methods. And in addition to the Tutor Hub, Citizen Literacy also offer free digital and print resources on its website, and strongly recommend using all these resources in parallel with the Learner app. And I'll just quickly show you what the Tutor Handbook looks like and what the Learner Workbook looks like. They're very comprehensive. They take you through lessons and lesson plans and aims and intentions step by step. So if you're new to teaching and think of the rigmarole of lesson plans and maybe, okay, how do you structure it? Where do you start? It's a very, very good resource, a very, very good signpost for you. So this is what they look like in snazzy print form. They're also digital copies as well. So you've got the tutor handbooks that talk the tutor or the educator through the activities and through the lesson and through the stages of the course. And of course, you can come in and out of them whenever you want. And then you also have the learner workbook, printable exercises that the tutor and the learners will work through and physically use to write and produce letters, produce words, produce sentences. And they go in tandem with, they match with the exercises that we've seen on the app. Of course, you can use them independently of the app, but that's what they're designed for. So the tutor handbooks provide a clear and friendly introduction to the program, its rationale, structure, and content. Each handbook covers 10 lessons with detailed lesson plans broken down into exercises, step-by-step lesson plan activity guides, and teaching tips to get tutors up and running quickly. It's exhaustive, very good. Lesson plans include related learner app activities to let the tutor easily direct learners to independent learning with the app between classroom sessions. Then you have the learner workbooks. They cover a set of 5 lessons with exercise resources linked to the lesson plans in the tutor handbooks. The workbooks provide a space for learners to write, collaborate, record, reflect on their work, and for tutors to examine as well. Okay, so there are also free resources for us if we're just starting or we're going back to teaching literacies levels. So on the website, you've got free tutor training and development resources, free training guides and sequence for new tutors, a post-phonics approach, a toolkit. Now this is huge, but it's fantastic. If you're beginning with literacies, if you're just starting off, before you start, I would start here. So it takes a very structured approach. And as I was saying before, if you don't know your phonemes from your graphemes, or if you don't know your IPA from whatever, then this is a very good place to start. And it's a free resource as well. And you can get it as a PDF, or you can just scroll down through the pages. You also have further readings and something very intriguing called the science of reading. But I'll let you click on that yourselves. So if I just stop the share for the moment. Okay, that's great. I'm not here by myself. I am conscious of the time and that there's a lot to get through, but I will leave a space for you guys to ask questions and have a chat about this afterwards. So I'm just going to go back into the homepage again. So if I reshare the screen with you. So we're back on the homepage and we go to the same tab as we had before. So instead of stopping at the free learner app, scroll right down to here. So handbooks and workbooks, that will give us links to free samples. So there are free samples under license that you can check on the website here, and you can have a look at them. That'll give you an idea of how to structure lessons, materials, paper materials, physical materials, exercises to use in tandem with the learner app in the classroom with learners, especially for their handwriting, their letter production, their word production. If we click down here to tutor resources, okay, so free download for tutors and free tutor training and development resources. Have a look at these. So you can see here that part 1, lessons 1 to 30, you've got tutor resources. They're up and running already, but with citizen literacy, they've always got new stuff in development as well. So we saw on the learner app that there are 2 units up. A 3rd unit is being developed at the moment. So they're constantly developing these resources. So as I was saying before, have a look at the post-16 phonics approaches toolkit. And that'll give you some great resources and ideas and inspiration to use in tandem with the learner app as well. And if we go to resources, and if we go to handbooks and workbooks, then we've got, for example, okay, we've got the handbook for tutors, and then we've got the workbook. So if I click on the handbook, okay, so this is an example. We've got the handbook for part 1, lesson 2 for the tutors. So we've got lesson plan, teaching aims, learning resources, step by step. So you start up, you continue, what will be the outcome, the resources to use in class. It's fantastic. It's very, very substantial. And to give you an idea of the workbook for lesson 2. So if you remember those 7 objects we had before, so mat, ant, tap, stamp. So this would be the corresponding exercise for that particular activity. It's already done for you. So you can use this ideally in tandem with the app, in parallel in the classroom at the same time, or you can come back and use it as a formative or summative assessment, or use it completely separately, because obviously I'm coming at it from the point of view of a tutor who has internet access, who's got a computer, who's got interactive whiteboards, but we could be working in contexts very often where there's no internet or there's no computer. We might be lucky, there might be a photocopier somewhere in the building. So these are printable resources as well. These are just the 1 or 2 examples of the handbook and the workbook that are under license that we can access without the subscription. And then you can decide if you've printed it off and you've used it, or if it's given you inspiration. Depending on where you're working, you might pay for the subscription for your company or your local authority or your educational institution. Okay. So that's the idea there. So, how are we doing for time? Right. The good news is you will very soon not have to listen to me wittering on. Right, so my experience of using the app was fun, effective, efficient, and portable as well. It saved a lot of time in prep and delivery as well, delivering the lesson. So you don't have to take out the subscription. You could be savvy about it and just print off or look at the resources that are there and tailor it to your learners' needs, use it in tandem with the resources as well. If you're just using it on your own, the price that they ask might be beyond us. I'll tell you where we can find the prices as well. I think off the top of my head, I think it's £65 excluding VAT to give you access to the subscription for the year, but that gives you access to all of the handouts for all of the levels to date and the workbooks. It would cost significantly more to print them off 1 by 1 for paper. So third point, interactive. The learners really enjoyed and engaged with it. I'm even now still pleasantly surprised by the things that learners pick up on and they connect with almost from the first lesson. So we looked at activity 1.1. We had n. You click on the letter M and the M goes ding and it jumps up at the screen at you. And a learner who's completely illiterate looks at that, looks at his can of Monster energy drink with the big M in it and goes, Monster, okay. So making those connections instantly. So the 4 skills are developed from sounds to letters to words to sentences. Even very quickly on a demo like this evening, you can see the progression that Citizen Literacies hope will make with the learners. Very easy for the tutor and learners to navigate. There's very little pre-teaching involved. You just take 1 or 2 minutes to demo to the learners just what those icons mean, and the icons are self-explanatory. And if you forget, you just click on the little question mark below to remind you. And it's a logical, structured, systematic progression. I would say use it in conjunction with accompanying handbook and tutor resources to get the most from it in the classroom. But it's horses for courses. I've got classes where I've got dedicated literacies. You might have classes where you've got literacies learners in with primary or secondary school kids, or maybe you've got a slightly stronger starters class. So maybe you could get your learners, if they're weaker, to maybe just work on their phones while other learners are doing other activities, and you can differentiate. But using the app in tandem with workbook activities, definitely. Then instead of just playing around on activity, 2 or 3 activities over half an hour, then you have 45 minutes to an hour of engaging materials. Literacy learners find the app icons, helpful, easy to understand. The app's checking of learners' writing is imperfect. It may not always differentiate between an A and an O, for example, and you saw some of my shuggly letters, so it might say something is correct when it's not as correct as we would like it. Some tutors and teachers may find the voice instructions and feedback a little ponderous. Think back to when I was explaining how an activity worked and the voiceover was still talking over me. If you're a native speaker or an educator, you might find that a little bit ponderous, but I find that the learners appreciate the slower pace. They appreciate the clarity. The accents are clear and they're helpful for them. Okay, so our takeaway. So the Citizen Literacy offers a free learner app, a wealth of excellent tutor resources, and an interactive tutor hub, all designed to support literacy learners and educators. Now, I know that was a lot to take in, and I fairly flew through it, but thank you for staying with me to date. So I'll open to whoever wants to chat about it for the last 4 or 5 minutes that we have. What do you think? What about your learning context? Do you think you could utilize the app and the resources in your own learning contexts? Or have you used it and you think, well, no, I just came here to complain, Ciaran? Or do you think it's something that you could use? Okay, so I'll just stop the share there. I would also say that I've also added 2 more PowerPoints there: citizen literacy methods and values, and other links, resources to their white paper, if you want to delve into that a little bit more. Okay, so thanks very much, and I'll open the floor back to Pauline.
That's great. Thank you so much, Ciaran. Does anybody have comments or questions for Ciaran? Anything they'd like to add, particularly if you've used it and how you find using it with your learners, or if you've had tutors around you that have used it? It's all quiet on the Western Front. So I'm going to, I'll jump in with a question then. So your presentation is really positive. Have you ever experienced any difficulties with it, Ciaran? Or particularly, I think for somebody, you mentioned something that is very relevant in ESOL, we're all time poor when it comes to prep and discovering new things and using things. Did you find it easy to start using something like the Citizen Literacy app, or was it a lot to process to begin with?
I think the app would be the most straightforward thing if you're starting to teach literacies for the first time. So I'm coming at it from the point of view of someone who has experience of teaching literacies levels. I already knew the International Phonetic Alphabet. I'd done TEFL as well for years. So I knew how to plan lessons. So my point of view is that, okay, I could look at the workbook resources to remind me, but I was able to go in, create the materials by myself, and the learner app is the cherry on the cake. So if you're new to literacies learning, then I would say prep by looking at the free resources that are there. And then once you're ready, then use the app. I wouldn't use the app solely by itself, because your learners still need to pick up a pen. They still need to see things on paper. It still needs to be tactile. So I haven't had difficulties using the app itself because it's fairly straightforward. As you saw, I keep forgetting that the voiceover is going to give you a sentence, pause, give you another sentence, so we're talking over each other. So you'd like it to speed up, but there's no harm in keeping it slow because the learners like that. Of course, learners will say, yeah, I'll look at it, and they don't practice. So these things always take slightly longer than you expect. But no, it's been fairly positive. Other things, if you look at the homepage, it just says Unit 1 and Unit 2. And so it's a good idea to write down where the activities are. I can see the logic in not putting the names of the activities because you don't want to overload your learner with letters that they don't know. So there are a couple of things that if you keep in mind, they won't be niggly problems.
Yeah, okay, that's great. Does anyone else have anything they'd like to add?
Ask me anything.
Ask anything.
I was just going to say, I mean, thanks very much, Ciaran. That was really interesting because it does seem to keep developing all the time. You know, I think we had looked at it a wee while ago, and it's not that we wouldn't want to use it. We don't tend to have literacy classes yet. I think there's a need for it. So I keep looking at things like this because you know, there's people there, but we haven't started one. And I just wondered, have you used it with other learners? Have you used it with learners maybe at a more developed level? Is that something where it sort of slots in easily? Because I was thinking about pre-elementary, so not necessarily beginners, but you know, might be some things there.
Yeah, that's a good question. Is like the units later on, they work for quite a low beginner class.
Exactly.
Yeah, they would. I've said literacies learners, but of course, they've all got jagged profiles, so they could be quite fluent with their speaking, quite strong listening, but then they've got zero reading and writing. So it's whatever works. As Pauline was saying, the later resources from Unit 2, because you've got that interactive element and you've got a couple of games, you've got these different activities, and the fact that you can just write it on your phone. Adults love it.
That was really fun, actually. I loved it. And my writing's quite good. But it was really nice. And I suppose again, if you're maybe sort of trying to introduce, you know, the phonemic alphabet into something, you know, that's another good way to sort of get them familiar with that without, you know, sort of just the you know, the talk and talk kind of thing. So thank you.
I think a positive is that you can use quite a lot of it for free. You're not having to, you know, spend or ask a department to spend money. You can actually use it. And then if you think it's worthwhile, then you have a case then to pitch to maybe buy extra resources and stuff. I think that's always quite a positive as well.
That is something I forgot to go back to. If you go to the homepage, beside the tab for resources, I think the next tab is prices, and they explain the subscription cost for the Tutor Hub and the accompanying full resource books. And I think they give information as well on a procurement if you're ordering it on behalf of your local authority or educational institution. And they've got different options there. But again, I'm not trying to sell the product. I don't work for Citizen Literacies. We're just giving you the options.
Great, brilliant. So it's almost 8 o'clock. Does anyone have any last comments or questions for Ciaran? If not, we'll sign off for this evening.
Thank you very much. This was really useful.
Thanks, Rosie.
Thank you. Very kind of you.
So thanks again. Yeah, huge thanks to Ciaran. That really was super informative and more information than we spoke about last year when you did this for us again. So we really appreciate your time, Ciaran, and thank you for everybody.
Welcome. My pleasure.
who has joined us this evening. As you all know, this is a recorded session. It will be shared on YouTube if you want to go back and look at Ciaran's slides again. So hopefully we'll see you at another Natecla Scotland event very soon. Good night, everybody.
Good night. Thanks very much. All the best.
Thank you. Good night. Bye-bye.